what is this goal though?
And then he had some moments where he was like, and this one, it's definitely one of those situations where you're like, no, yes. Because he just
mind-blowing.
He takes a touch inside, and then from distance, I mean, it's not necessarily an especially powerful kick. It's got a little pace on it, but it's this spin that's on it that's just unbelievable because it bounces off the crossbar, and because of the spin that he's put on it, it doesn't bounce back off the crossbar. It doesn't bounce up. It bounces straight down and then into the net because of this just ridiculous spin. And you can see even the players on the field, they're almost shocked. They're like, what just happened? How did that go in? It doesn't make sense.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of No Other Pod. I'm Jimmy, as always, with my good buddy and the star of Topeka Civic Theater's Tootsie, Mr. Kooser. Dan, what's going on?
Closing weekend this weekend, bro. Sad, bittersweet situation, you know?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get out there this past Friday, see the show. So if you're a listener and you have not yet seen the show, this is your final chance. Get your tickets this week. Go see it. It's a great show.
So good, man. And everyone's been saying like it's probably the best show they've seen on that stage in a long time, if ever. And it's like, well, that means a lot.
It's good. So I told you this after I saw you after the show, but I was sitting at a table next to a couple people, and I'm blanking on the song title, but the first song you sing as Dorothy when you go out there, and you know it's a solo song, and you're singing, you know, as Dorothy, which first off was very impressed singing in character, and you finish the song, and the table next to me, the woman goes, "That was incredible," and so it's a great show. Y'all should go see it.
Listen, some lady caught me in the lobby afterwards and comes right up to me, right in my face, and she goes, "Sing like Dorothy." And I go, "No, thank you." And, and it felt like a dance monkey kind of moment, you know? Yeah. And she's like, "I don't think it was you singing." And I go, "Ma'am, I assure you it was."
You can think whatever you want, but
I'm not going to give you a private performance out here. Like, let's be honest. You think I have that kind of integrity to just have someone else sing it for me? Do you hear my voice right now? It's struggling, baby.
I was going to say, I'm sure, especially after doing a show where you're in character, and that's not an easy part to play, I would imagine, where, you know, it takes some out of you. So
it does. Yeah, it totally does.
I did.
It's funny.
I enjoyed the Yeezys that you were wearing as part of the show. I noticed that.
Yes.
That was one of the first things I saw. I was like, that man's wearing Yeezys.
Nothing like wearing $250 shoes in a show. I'm just like, Jesus, I should not be wearing these here.
Yeah, it was, but it was great. You should go see it if you haven't seen it. Tickets, I'm sure, are available for a final weekend, but they're probably selling fast if they haven't sold out. So go check it out.
And let the record be known. Let the record show that I bought Yeezys after Kanye parted ways with Adidas. That needs to be said. I feel.
Yep. So he did not get any money from him.
He got no money from me. I even got the little insert in the shoebox that says, you know, fight Jewish hate and whatnot. And I was like, okay, great.
Yes,
do it. I didn't buy them for the wrong reason.
Yeah. So that was great. That was a great part of my weekend. And then watched SummerSlam. It was a SummerSlam weekend.
Hey, what a time that was. That was a great event. I'm soaked up in every freaking storyline there is. Everything is a banger after banger after banger. I'm just loving it.
Okay, Mr. Sheamus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was great. Look, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched SummerSlam yet, what are you doing? I'm sure you have, but I think we all knew Roman Reigns was coming back. That didn't make it any less exciting when it happened. No. It was awesome.
And dude, you already knew it was going to happen. You're like, he's not going to hit Cody because family, dude. This guy's family, and he's been tarnishing his name.
Yep.
I was so in. I knew it was happening. I just didn't know what was going to happen.
I saw a hilarious TikTok. I don't know if I sent it to you or not, but it was like a video of a little kid in the crowd, probably 6 years old. And he's watching the match, and Roman's music hits. The kid's going crazy, and he's jumping up and down. All of a sudden, he gets real serious and stoic. He just slowly starts putting up the one, and he looks at his hand as he puts up the one. And this kid has never taken anything more serious in his life until he puts up the one to acknowledge the tribal chief. It was just, it's moments like that where I was like, yeah, wrestling's silly and it's you know, scripted and whatnot, but it's fun, and you know, it's cool to see little kids get into it. I was over at a friend's house. We had a good time. It was fun. So,
did you see me throw up the one in a song on stage? Yeah. You saw it. Okay.
Yeah. I almost stood up and did it with you. It was fun.
So good.
Good time. All leading into a soccer game on Monday night that occurred.
You know, I got to tell you, we knew we'd lose this game, right? Spoiler alert, we were going to lose this game, right?
I mean, I didn't have a great feeling about it just because Toluca's a pretty solid team. You know,
solid.
They're
so solid. Their jersey numbers are in the triple digits.
Right. Which did a little research apparently. So I know I had seen this before, but we were like, is it an academy thing? Like, what's going on? And so
is he running track and field? What is this?
Liga MX sides have like, I forget what it is, but it's like U13, U15, U17, and U20 teams that they, in addition to their senior teams, and they cannot duplicate numbers across any of those teams. So you run out of numbers because there aren't enough numbers, to field all those teams. So they start getting into the triple digits. But I guess if you move up from a team mid-season, like let's say they called a U20 player up to their senior roster, you have to keep your registered number for that entire year. So if somebody's
was one of those
148 and they get called up, whether it be for this tournament or whatnot, they have to keep that number. I don't know if they can keep it beyond that year. Maybe they can as well. But yeah, there were 4 players, I think, on their roster that night that had triple digit numbers.
That seems wildly silly. But hey, it is what it is. I'm not disrespecting any culture or anything they got going on, but it just feels like, what's the big deal? Duplicate numbers.
I kind of like the way it looks just because it's different. Like, that's why I like in flag football, I was always 00 because I was like, I just like that it looks crazy.
Yeah. It just looks like he's a cyclist, and that's the number on the back of his, that's his racing bib.
Yeah. So it was pretty interesting. But yeah, no, I mean, I think I had a feeling that we were probably not going to win this game. We didn't need to win this game to move on.
Isn't that wild? It's like, hey, we're going into this game. We've already advanced, baby. And it's like, say, Como, what?
And I won one game.
And here's your reward. You get to play the great Columbus Crew.
Right. So that's the thing that we were playing for was, okay, well, if we lose, then we got to go on the road to playing Columbus. But I think if we win, then we were going on the road to play another MLS team anyway. So,
who didn't get out of that group? RSL did not, right?
Right. Houston ended up getting out of there.
So we would have went to Houston.
I think we would have gone to Houston, yes. So it's just, the way that they do the seeding, I've been looking at a lot of rules about Leagues Cup because it is not straightforward in terms of who hosts who necessarily. I dug into like a 64-page PDF document that showed the rules for Leagues Cup because that's how convoluted this is. Once you get into the knockout round, the way they determine hosting priority is one, if it's an MLS versus Liga MX team, obviously MLS hosts. If it's Liga MX versus Liga MX, there's a different process. But if it's MLS versus MLS, like, we have now, they have a Leagues Cup ranking table, which basically combines the 2023 MLS Supporter Shield standings and then the Clausura and Apertura 2023 standings for Liga MX, and it breaks them into different tiers. And so that's why, the Columbus Crew obviously are way high up in that tier list. And then Sporting KC is in the second tier, and then there's a third tier. So that's how it was determined that we will be going on the road to host Columbus. And, we'll see what happens. But I don't know. It's interesting because if we win this game, we will host the following game, if I'm understanding the table, the ranking table correctly, regardless if we play Toronto or Miami. So
it's the thing is, man, like we've always loved this league for one reason and one reason only, is that anyone can beat anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And you do know if it's tied at the end, you're going to go to penalties, and you would think that favors us should that happen down in Columbus. Was really hoping we could have snuck one back at the end of Toluca. Like, you could tell we were trying. I was ready to see some penalties, man. It would have been great. I was already up till 10. Let's keep this party going.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. I mean, if you look at sort of the lineup that was put out, we went back to that 4-2-3-1. Alan Polito was playing the number 10. Willie got to the number 9. Tommy was on the bench. I sound like a broken record, I feel like, but this is the same thing, is that when Alan Polito is on the field, I don't feel as confident as when Agata and Tommy are on the field together. Alan Polito played the number 10. He had like a moment or two in the game where it's like, oh yeah, there he is. I forgot about him. But the rest of the time, I had someone tell me, I think it was Chad Smith who was sitting next to me in the game, that, Alan Polito's just kind of a black hole on the field. Like the ball comes to him and he just it just disappears, or it turns it over.
Yeah.
Or what? There's not a lot happening there.
It's interesting, right? I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to save that situation. But I do enjoy Willie being up top like that. And I'll tell you one thing, the announcers, the broadcast team said, you know what? Willie Agata has had 3 great chances on goal, and they should have all 3 been goals.
Yep.
He really should have put all 3 of those away. And by my math, that's a 4-2 victory for us right there,
Yeah, that's the thing. And I said this as much when I was at the game, tweeting through it. The referee was not good. The referee, I would say, in fact, was quite bad. Now, I do not think that Sporting Kansas City lost because the referee was bad. And I don't think Peter Vermees thinks that Sporting Kansas City lost because the referee was bad. I think the referee was wildly inconsistent from what I could see. He seemed to be making calls that tended to favor Toluca more than Sporting Kansas City. Obviously, I'm not 100% neutral, objective party here. I have my preferences, but I like to think I tend to be relatively objective when it comes to referee performance. There are a lot of times that Sporting fans are shouting at the referee or thinking the refs did a bad job, that I'm like, I don't know. I think they were fair. This is not one of those.
You're right. There are times like, even there was one last night when they were like, yelling like Kyrie was called for a foul. And I was like, kind of looked like Kyrie did push that guy. So I don't.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and the Danny Rosero yellow card too. Like, I think everybody was losing their mind. I was like, it kind of ran the guy over. Like, objectively in a vacuum, to me, it was a yellow card. I think where I get some of the frustration is you're letting a lot of things go the other way that should be yellow cards. And now you're picking on Sporting, which I agree. I just have I can't get, but like, not every call is a bad call. They can have a bad night and still make some correct calls. There was some really weird things that were happening, though. I forget which player was injured. It was a Sporting player that was on around midfield who was down, and he didn't stop play. It was like he just told the Toluca defender, like, hold on for a second, just like stand there. And he went over and talked to the Sporting player, and then just kind of like waved it, like, okay, start again. But like didn't do a drop ball like you're supposed to do when you stop play. He did that a few times where I was like, I don't think this is how this is supposed to work.
Also, a Toluca player, like it was our ball. It was going to be like a free kick for us, and a Toluca player just rockets the ball off the field.
That happened a couple times.
That's delaying a restart, and that did not get a yellow card from this ref. Eric Tommy was looking at him like, "Did you just see that?" And the ref just kind of ignored him, and I'm like,
"Yeah,
you're an embarrassment, sir. You're an embarrassment," because that's the rules that have been set.
Yes.
And everyone knows that if you kick the ball away, that's delaying a restart, yellow card. And when I see refs do it, I'm like, my champion.
Yep.
You are my champion, referee.
Follow the rules.
Yes. You're a good worker. You deserve more games.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. It didn't feel like the rules were being evenly applied. Johnny Russell got bowled over from behind, and the ref was like, nope, play on. Come on, keep it going. And that should have been a free kick easily. There were a couple of times where he played advantage, where I think it was, again, Johnny Russell was injured outside the box late toward the game. He played advantage for some reason when there wasn't one, and Peter's losing his mind on the sideline. He's like, we want a free kick there. That's not an advantage. And the ref's just like, I'm not, I played advantage.
The ref didn't even like signal advantage one time when he played advantage. Right. Was that what you're at that time?
There were a couple times where like he didn't, like he just kind of kept running, and I was like, I think he's playing advantage, or like instead of like normally they hold both their arms up like they're pointing. I think there's one time where he just kind of like did like a quick wave, and I was like, I think he said that's advantage, but I'm not really sure. Toluca was they were time wasting. They were falling on the ground. They had one guy get injured on the south stand side, and he was like leaving his foot just on the field, and so the AR tried to go tell him, hey, you got to get off the field, and then the trainer was kind of standing on the field, and I was like, we know what we're doing. Like, I know this tends to happen in CONCACAF more when you get in these other competitions, but it's just frustrating.
It does. It's so catty, dude. It's just like these grown-ass men just become children in this moment. They're just like, oh, no, I'm on the field. Look, I'm on the field. I can't possibly roll. Now, we've seen one of our players do that before. I think I saw Logan and Denve do it last year one time or something.
Yes.
And I'm like, what are we doing? Why is this?
It's frustrating when we do it too. I mean, the two players that I can think of that tended to do it most when they played on our team were Latif Blessing. For the year he was with Sporting, tended to flop all over the place, and Diego Rubio.
I was just going to say that.
So, and I think it was just as frustrating when it was like very obviously not a foul, and you're just kind of being an idiot. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on now. Get out.
I got to tell you, if you don't roll 3 or 4 times, I'm convinced you're not hurt. But if I've hurt myself or something, I certainly don't decide to roll all over the ground.
Right.
I just lay there.
It's a little obnoxious, but
yeah, it is.
It is what it is. So, why don't we go ahead and take our break before we jump into sort of what exactly happened in this game here? So let's take our break and we'll be right back.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest-ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks. Saving money should be easy, with no hoops and no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for just $15 a month with a purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it, and it turns out it really is that easy to get wireless plans for $15 a month. So to get started, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNNOP. There you'll see that right now you can get 3-month plans for only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And if you're worried about keeping your own phone or losing your contacts, with Mint Mobile, you can bring your own phone number along with all of your existing contacts. So find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile right now and get 3 months of premium wireless service for just $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/KCSNNOP. That's mintmobile.com/KCSNNOP. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/KCSNNOP. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Couple orders of business before we review. Hear ye, gavel. Dude, I saw Trap today. Have you heard of this movie?
No, I thought I was like the music, like trap music.
No, Trap from M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now I was nervous. I was like, Shyamalan movies are mostly miss. Like, they're hit and miss, but they're mostly miss.
Yeah.
There's always a fun twist of some sort that's going to piss you off. This was enjoyable.
Okay.
The premise was neat. It was kind of like a concert film as well.
Yeah.
And I was reading interviews. He's like, yeah, I was essentially directing a whole concert as well as a movie. So
interesting.
Worth seeing. Maybe stream it, but definitely see it. You know what I mean?
Okay. I'll probably wait for that one to come out on streaming, but I'll check that out.
Second of all, if you guys listen to Currently, which, by the way, Currently will not be coming until Friday this week. Some scheduling issues with the games coming hot and heavy, and with me and Chris able to record, so we'll be there Friday recapping both games. But we got this hotline, man, this text line. It's our Mint Mobile text line. We all know Deadpool is part of Mint Mobile, right? So we're best friends with Ryan Reynolds now. But if you text 913-407-6524, dude, you can ask us questions. You can give us comments, sing our praises, whatever you want to do, and we can talk about them on here. You don't have to go leave us an email like it's 1992 or something. You don't have to leave us a review if you don't have an Apple phone or something like that. You can text us 913-407-6524. This is pretty cool, man. I'm excited about this. And we learned that it goes directly to Jimmy's phone, so all any kind of lewd pictures you want to send, go right ahead.
Nope. Does not come to me. But that's awesome. Text us on that Mint Mobile text line, and we'll answer your questions. Send us your thoughts. Tell us if you went and saw Tootsie and you want to let us know what you thought. it's that's really cool. I'm excited. So yeah, send us your thoughts.
Yeah, it's neat.
We'll talk about it. This game, it started out okay, I would say, for Sporting Kansas City. I mean, it was relatively even for much of the game. I didn't know much about Toluca's roster. There was quite a number of Toluca fans that were there at the stadium. It wasn't a full stadium. There's probably, 14,000 people and change there. But I mean, I would say, 30% maybe of them were Toluca fans. So they showed out.
Good amount. And this game was arguably kind of back and forth. Goalkeepers had to come up big a couple times, and they didn't score till the 40th minute, dude. And it was because we were just being dumb and not clearing a ball and just falling on our butts and letting them go around us. It was the most stupid goal I've ever seen in my life.
The most stupid goal I've ever seen.
It looks dumb. Like freaking Leibold kind of lunges here, and Castellanos is back there, and it's like, this is just embarrassing, like a Mark Sanchez butt fumble.
Well, how many times have you heard Peter say, and how many times have we said on this podcast here, if you leave your feet, if you go to ground and you miss the ball, bad things are going to happen. And you're right.
Like 5 of us in here in the box, and this guy was just like, look out.
And it started with, they had a little bit of a nice little give and go chip pass here, and it started with a guy got behind Kyrie. I think Kyrie just gets a little bit of again, I think this was his lack of experience as a defender. He gets caught a little bit unaware as their winger, or I'm not sure if it was a winger or a fullback, sort of drives toward the end line. And then there's a ball sent back into the middle. And honestly, Tim Leibold's the only one there when he gets it at first. He just takes too long, kind of makes a mess of the touch. Castellanos goes to ground and attempts to kick it away, but can't get to it. And then Angulo, I believe is his name, just kind of slots it in past Tim Melia. And it's not good. And it was preventable had Sporting Kansas City just played a modicum of solid defense.
I was a little excited to get to halftime 0-0. I was like, cool, let's just do that. You're 5 minutes plus some change. Let's just get there. And when this happened, I was so defeated. And you've got someone like Steven Afrifa taking these long-range shots. I'm like, what is this guy doing? And he's skying him over the goal. And at one time, I just go, Steven. And until the 46th minute, and I say, oh, Steven, no. Mm-hmm. And then I go, Steven, yes.
Yeah, this was one of those. Steven had a very up and down game. He had some moments where he looked incredible.
What is this goal, though?
And then he had some moments where he was like, eh. And this one, it's definitely one of those situations where you're like, no, yes. Because he just
mind-blowing.
He takes a touch inside, and then from distance, I mean, it's not necessarily an especially powerful kick. It's got a little pace on it, but it's this spin that's on it that's just unbelievable because it bounces off the crossbar. And because of the spin that he's put on it, it doesn't bounce back off the crossbar. It doesn't bounce up. It bounces straight down and then into the net because of this just ridiculous spin. And you can see even the players on the field, they're almost shocked. They're like, what just happened? How did that go in? It doesn't make sense.
I mean, I don't know. He was skying him all game, and then they gave him a little bit of space as he cut in, and it was just. I'm watching it right now. It's phenomenal, dude. Watching it real time, it's like I went in.
Yeah,
really like what the hell? And then you see it slow down, and you're like, whoa, I'm impressed.
Because you see it live. I saw it bounce off the crossbar, and I reacted, and the next thing I know, I saw it bounce on the inside of the net, and I was like, I don't understand how that just happened. Like, it didn't bounce off the back of the keeper or anything. It just, the spin was so drastic on the ball that, it just simply bounced off the ground and into the net. Now, he had a couple other chances, like you were saying, especially on that goal. He skied one where, he had a couple, I think he had, might have been Daniel Shallowy running on the right of him, or Eric Tommy. And then Johnny Russell was overlapping on the left side, and Afrifa decided to take the third of the 3 options that was there. And I'm just going to take it myself from distance and fired it over. And you could see his teammates get a little frustrated. So he's still got those things to fine tune.
Sure.
But I like what I'm seeing from Afrifa. I feel like he's getting more in the swing of things, and he's certainly building confidence.
Yeah. And now I'm like, cool. Now we can go to halftime tied up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
almost didn't happen, by the way. Like, not a minute later, a guy damn near chips Melia into the goal. It went just wide, but I was like, whoa, missed opportunity for this guy.
Yeah. It was, there were chances. Sporting certainly had chances. Like you said, Willie Agata had a chance off a header in the south stand. He had a chance in the first half where it was just a beautiful team setup, and Johnny Russell,
yes.
Johnny could have taken it himself, but he sees Willie. He goes, you know what? I'm going to make the selfless decision. I'm going to send it to Willie. And Willie somehow from inside the 6-yard line, I don't know what he's trying to do. He gets a little cute. And instead of just hammering it home like Peter says he should have done, he somehow sends it over the crossbar.
It's insane.
And that should have been an easy goal.
Johnny goes between this guy's legs with this pass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that. What else do you want? What more do you want? Because I got to say, in this moment, I feel like Alan Polito puts that away. I really do.
Probably. In that
That's
moment, you're probably right. Because Alan at that point is just trying to put it in the net. Peter talked about it a little bit with Willie Agata. He said that Willie needs to be, quote, either killer or ruthless, whatever word you want to use to describe about it. When he gets that way, he'll be banging goals home like crazy. And he has the ability because he gets really good spots and guys find him with his movement. So now it's just about him being ruthless, killer, merciless, whatever you want to say.
Look, and Alan took a couple shots from outside. I mean, that's all he could do. That's the position Alan was playing, Yeah. It's just we were in this game. It's like we were clearly getting our moments. And like, is Toluca a better team? I can confidently say yes. But I feel like we were playing with them. It was feeling good for a bit.
Yeah. And I think I said that miss or the pass from Russell was in the first half. It was in the second half. It was down.
It was right at the beginning of the second half.
But yeah,
it was literally a minute in.
Mm-hmm. It was early. And yeah, Peter said of that goal specifically, the early chance by Willie Agata in the second half is a big chance. He's got to just smash it home, and he knows. We talked about it, him and I. I know where he's coming from, but he's got to smash that home. It's different now. They would really have to open up, and I think that we had the changes that come on to really strike the other way. But I thought the vibe that we had from the team was very good overall all night. So
yeah, I mean, vibes don't win matches. I'll tell you that right now. But I think there were moments here where we should be a little embarrassed, like when Daniel Shallowy loses his man who gets a header assist that leads to their second goal.
Yeah,
like Daniel just caught on his heels, like, oh shit, there goes my guy. And I don't know if someone else is supposed to pick that guy up or what, but it's just someone dropped the ball there, and it just didn't look good.
A few people dropped the ball because Daniel definitely drops the ball and gets the late jump on the guy who gets the header back across. And then there's a combination of Kyrie and Robert Volader who nobody runs with their man in the box, and he's just wide open, free.
No one's on him.
There's simply nothing Tim can do at that point. Both Kyrie and Volader have an opportunity to run with him. This is one where I'm watching Kyrie, and I don't know if he thought Robbie Volader was going to go run with them to pick him up, but if he did, there's no communication to Robbie letting him know, hey, you got a man behind you. Robbie doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. But regardless, Daniel messes up, lets the guy get behind him, free header, and then you have a series of defenders messing up, and once again, mental lapse, giving a free shot in the box, and it's 2-1. That's all she wrote. Yeah, there were chances later. Willie had another header he missed. But it's not much you can do.
Eric Tommy subbed in, brought a little bit of electricity to this offense, as Eric does. They almost had, God damn, dude, Willie had another opportunity in the 90th minute. Mm-hmm. It's insane that he puts away shots when he wants to, but then misses so many other ones.
Yeah.
We're lucky not to lose by more though, because Robert Volader took a risk and made a big time sliding tackle on this guy, like the 90th minute, 87, something like that. And the guy just is off to the races. So now Kyrie, if there was any question how fast Kyrie Shelton is, that man was coming at him.
Yeah. Kyrie had moments where I'm like, there's the strong, physical, muscly defender that he can be, where he's ripping the ball off people. And then there's moments where I'm like, you just make sure you're paying attention.
I don't think that, though. I think oh my God, there's Kyrie being good. And then it's like, well, there's Kyrie being played out of position. That's where I'm feeling. He's playing somewhere he doesn't have any business really playing.
Yeah, and that gets back to, okay, well, Jake can't play at right back right now because we have a midfield shortage, even though he came in since Roddy had to come off hurt. And Jake's, fresh off the plane back from Paris after the Olympic team got eliminated. And so he has to come into the game much earlier than he anticipated.
He added a little spark, though, a little sense of urgency in that midfield.
Yeah, he was playing a little bit more defensively because he was part of that double pivot in the 4-2-3-1. But there were moments where, he'd charge up in the attack, he'd steal the ball, he'd flip the field. I really liked Jake in the midfield. I wish that we had more reliable right back depth where we didn't have to rely on Jake Davis to become our full-time right back. And he could play, in his position in the midfield. But
I feel like we're a better team. Listen to this. Young Jake. I feel like we're a better team with Jake on the field.
I agree.
He sure does feel that way. He's really come into his own. There would have been a day back, years ago where I was like, what are we playing Jake Davis so much for, Yeah. But now I'm like, get this kid back in there, dude. He's been in great form. I hate that he had to leave to go to the Olympics to not even play in the Olympics.
Yeah.
But he's back, ready to go.
He had some good quotes after the game talking about his time, with the Olympic team. I
bet that was an experience, man.
Sure, yeah. I mean, he was talking about how he wanted to help the team getting back from Paris. But, when he was asked if there was any frustration playing or not playing with the team while he was in Paris, he goes, I don't think I was frustrated with not playing. I think I was there knowing my role. I wanted to work as hard as I could and be 100% with them to make sure that I was being the best teammate for those guys and helping them get prepared for this game. A little part of me during the first week missed sporting. I think I'm maybe the first guy who's ever been in Europe and Paris to miss Kansas City. But I think I went there with my head high and I just wanted to work for those guys. A lot of them have great mentality, and I think it's good to see different perspectives. So I think it's a great learning experience. And then he talked about what it meant just to be with the level of players who were there, and how that was pretty cool. So
I've heard Paris ain't all it's cracked up to be. I've heard if you've seen it in movies, you've seen it. It's not much to it.
I do like Paris. I've been to Paris a couple times. I enjoy being in Paris. I think Paris is awesome. I think one of my favorite things about being here in Kansas City is you can go swim in the rivers and you're not going to get E. coli.
Yeah, you're not. We have some poopy rivers too, though. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't swim in the Missouri River outside of CPKC Stadium.
It gets breezy. It gets breezy and stinky over there sometimes.
And there's a rogue tree that might knock you out as it's going down the river, but at least the people who swim in it don't get sick with E. coli.
It's a little wild.
Who could have seen that coming? Wasn't like it was a major talking point leading into the Olympics.
Everyone knew.
But yeah, it was good for Jake. Glad he got to experience that. Really glad he's back.
Yeah, Olympics are going well, man. I told you, I've been getting into the volleyball, not the beach volleyball, the indoor volleyball.
Indoor volleyball is freaking intense.
They're insane. I watched the men's match yesterday. I didn't get to watch the women's today. Mm-hmm. I think they're both going through to the semis.
Yeah.
Been watching like water polo. I'm loving it.
Wild sport. What happens under the water in water polo is unspeakable.
It's not great. I'm pretty sure some junk gets grabbed. It can't be good. It's like the bottom of a fumble pile or something. That's
weirdly not the most high profile junk story at the Olympics this time, though. Mr. Pole vaulter, who lost.
He might have a new calling for a different career. Let's just say that.
Pole was vaulted, but
he's going to adult films now after all this exposure.
He's walking around the Olympic Village. He's like, I lost.
Because I wasn't allowed to use it. Dude, but the women's soccer team going to the gold medal match this weekend.
Yeah.
It's basketball. I think LeBron's going to the semis.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, men's, they call it 3x3. It's 3-on-3 basketball. Men's not great. Women's, I think they're playing in the bronze medal game at the time of this recording.
Yeah, the women were in the semis yesterday and they lost.
They blew a lead, but I don't know. The Olympics are always fun because there's I watched kayak cross, which is insanity because it's kayak racing. You have to spin and go fully underwater, and then you're going around like slalom stands. It's a wild sport.
We watched, during a workout, we had on the gold medal whip around show, and on came the guys with, I call them the guys with the lats because their freaking backs are huge as they were rowing. And they were kind of rowing to the beat of our workout music we had playing. So that was kind of cool. But they were just, I don't know. I was enamored by their physique. I was admiring these gentlemen.
Hey, you know what? Good for you. These are some, like, I'm watching the sprinters and I'm like, man, I can do my 30-minute jogs on the treadmill, and these sprinters are just destroying people with these like Greek god physiques.
I saw rock climbing this morning.
Speed climbing?
It's Spider-Man, bro.
Oh my God, they climb up in like 6 seconds. I'm like, they're literally Spider-Man up a wall.
6 is long.
4 seconds, long. Whatever it is.
It's 4 or 5. If it's 6, you're bad.
Yeah, it's just insane. So anyway, Olympics are happening. It's a fun time. So now Sporting Kansas City goes on to play Columbus in Columbus.
Oh boy.
Friday night at I believe it's 6:30 Central Time. And as we know, Columbus is the reigning MLS Cup champion. They're very good, and they are sitting in third place in the Eastern Conference right now, 43 points, 1.87 points per game. That would be good enough for fourth in the West, but they're a solid team, and they have a very good coach, Cucho Hernandez, one of the most dangerous attacking players in the entire league. So, and if you look at what Sasha Kleshchin put up on MLSsoccer.com, where he's talking about who he thinks the league's cup favorites are, he mentions the Columbus Crew, talks about how they're the reigning MLS Cup champions, says they know how to win knockout games, and obviously he mentions Cucho Hernandez. Now, the interesting thing, which one might say is an advantage for Columbus, but one might also say could potentially be an advantage for Kansas City, is Columbus did not play in the group stage. They had a bye directly into this knockout round of 32.
You think that's an advantage? I think they'll be well rested and whoop that ass.
So yes, they will be well rested, but sometimes, they haven't played a game in a little bit. It takes you a minute to get back into the swing of game form.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Sure. And you know what? Sporting played on Monday. Now they got to fly to Columbus. They play again on Friday, short rest. So realistically, it's probably an advantage for Columbus, but
never know.
They haven't played in a minute. So do you think there's a realistic chance Sporting Kansas City can go on the road to Columbus and drag this out and get a result?
It's a tournament, right? Like, don't count anybody out. I mean, everyone in here is capable. Look at the women's tournament that just wrapped up. If you would have told me that not a single Mexican team would make it to the semifinals, I would have said you're nuts. Surely one will, right? And none of them did. So anyone could beat anybody, dude. We gave Columbus a run for their money. No, we played Cincinnati last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
The other Ohio team.
Yeah. What is Ohio?
But they were also good too. You know what I mean? And we played them very well and probably should have got points there. Probably should have won.
Probably, yeah.
We're not out of this thing. And that's, hell, man, nothing like losing and moving on.
Yeah, I mean, and look, you look at, Sporting hasn't been all that good, obviously, in league play this year. And Columbus is obviously a much better side. Sporting's got 2 wins and 2 draws on the road. But like you said, let's go straight to penalties. Sporting can mess around, force a draw and get it to penalties. That's advantage Sporting Kansas City. If Tim Melia maybe has lost a step, but he's still incredible in goal. It's been a minute since Columbus played their last game. They lost to Atlanta United 2-1 on the road in Atlanta on July 20th. That's 3 weeks ago. They haven't won a game since they destroyed LAFC 5-1, and that was back on July 13th. So that's almost a full month between victories for Columbus by the time they take the field on Friday. So it's possible.
I'm sure they've spent an entirety of training with Willie Gatta doing explicitly headers because the amount of chances he had Monday is it's inexplicable that none of them went in. So look for it. I mean, he's getting open on these things, man. Look for that. Look for that to be a storyline this Friday. See if he bounces back and puts away a couple.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. We'll see. One thing that we producer Nick just reminded us, I was about to do this too, so we don't forget about it. One thing that we need to talk about is the Holiday Distillery Toast of the Match. And, there were a number of different players that I think, could be said as, the Holiday Distillery Toast of the Match. I want to go a different direction. I want to go maybe a controversial direction, if you will. My Holiday Distillery Toast of the Match, and I got my Holiday Distillery bottled in bond bourbon right here. I'm going to go Peter Vermees. Because you know what? Peter Vermees was not satisfied with the refereeing, and he made it known that he was not satisfied with the refereeing, so much so that he got a yellow card. And it's the first yellow card he's gotten. Thad Bell from KC Soccer Channel asked him, because when's the last time you got a yellow card from a referee? And Peter said, I don't know. It's been a long time. But I want to say, my holiday distillery toast of the match, Peter Vermees, for getting out there and making sure he let the ref know he was not satisfied with his job.
If anyone is good at reading lips, they know the yellow card was warranted. You cannot say that stuff at a sporting event to a referee. So there's that.
But it was funny.
He looks at him and he goes, that's bad. Like after he got the yellow card, he said, that's bad.
It was pretty funny. After the match, I asked him a question. I was like, there was some questions about the refereeing. And obviously, there was the yellow card you got. How do you feel it impacted the play on the field? And he was not taking the bait. He was like, I thought the referee was fantastic. I thought he just did a great job. And I was like,
You asked him this?
Yes, I did.
He's probably like, do you want to pay my fine, you son of a bitch?
Well, and then later, somebody else asked from Fox Sports Mexico, they were on Zoom, and they asked, do you think that there should be different nationalities of refs, because instead of having American or Mexican, do you think it should be someone else? And Peter was like, no, I don't think that we need to worry about, he goes, there can be refs from Pro, there can be refs from League MX. I don't think that's the issue. I think it's just making sure that refs follow the laws of the game. I don't think it has anything to do with, they're from League MX or not. But that's when he was like, but the yellow card was great. I really enjoyed that. And I just he was still going in on it. So it was a fun time.
Dude, that could have been so taken out of context too. Like a simple question. Sure. Do you think that there should be different nationalities? And then boom, the headline is Peter Vermees is racist.
Right. He did a really good job answering. And the guy, it wasn't English. English wasn't the first language of the guy asking it. So I think he was trying to say should there be in a World Cup match, if it's Spain's playing England, they're not going to have a Spanish or an English referee. They're going to have a third party nationality. So there's not any temptation for favoring one side or the other. But,
true. We should have had another North American ref, Canadian ref. Come break it up,
Caribbean ref. Yeah, but no, it was interesting. So Peter Vermees, shout out to him.
Love it.
So yeah, if they can get a result, big if, but if they get a result and they win the game in Columbus,
moving on,
then they play the winner of Toronto and Miami. And as we mentioned at the beginning of this episode, because of the League's Cup ranking table, they would host, if I'm rating everything correctly, either Toronto or Miami, because Toronto is dead last in the League's Cup ranking table. And Miami, even though they were the League's Cup winner last year and their first place supporter shield this year, Miami was sixth worst based on, the 2023 table. Because if you remember, Messi didn't join till later in the year. He helped them at the League's Cup, but it was too late for them to be anything but near the bottom of the table in the supporter shield race. So we would actually host Miami in Kansas City if they win. Now, people are probably thinking, is Lionel Messi coming back to Kansas City? Are we going to get Lionel Messi at Children's Mercy Park? If you remember in Copa America, Lionel Messi's ankle ballooned up to the size of a pumpkin, and he's not been playing, and he did not play against the Liga MX club Tigres.
Has he been available?
He's been training. Tata Martino said that Messi is out of the walking boot. He was in a walking boot. He is no longer in a walking boot. And last Friday, Tata Martino says that Messi continues to work with team trainers separately, and he has yet to hit the field with his teammates in practice. So it's a positive update, and it would be about a month since his injury occurred by the time Sporting would play Inter Miami. But, like we said, August 9th is the game against Columbus, and I think the next round of games is between August 11th and 14th. So I just think if he hasn't even started training with the team, not that Messi needs a lot of training, but if he hasn't started now, I find it hard to believe that somewhere between 6 and 8 days from now, he'd be back to 100% ready to play. Maybe available off the bench, but
yeah, that'd be dope. That'd be cool. But come on, you got to get past Friday first, and that is not a given. Columbus is a very good team, man. We played them earlier this year, right?
Yes.
Did not go well.
No.
So, they had a hat trick, right?
Cucho, I think, went crazy.
Yeah,
because Cucho is a very good player. They came into Kansas City we were in Columbus, I believe.
Correct.
But it was 4-0. Cucho Hernandez had at least 2, if not 3 goals. Superman Christian Ramirez had a goal. So it was not great. Or
don't you think
it said this was 4-0, but I'm looking at it now, and I don't know. Either way, we got smacked. So
we got smacked. You think they're going to use this as bulletin board material, thinking like, okay, let's go get a little revenge here. We laid an egg out there, literally 0. Let's go score a couple goals, have some fun, see what happens. I'll tell you one thing. If we lose, I'm not upset with that, because I'm like, let's take a little break here. Let's restructure, because there's still playoffs to fight for. It's a long shot for us. We're very close to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get back into form in league play. So we didn't even talk about Logan and Denbay coming back.
Logan and Denbay came back
the game.
I'm in a
huge applause.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, 10 months, I think, something like that. So very good. Nice, very good recovery for him. We'll see more of him, I assume, and he'll just get more confident over time.
Yeah. It was great to see him back. And hoping to see more of him. Tim Leibold has been serviceable, but still is a defensive liability at times. So,
is it time for the chip chat?
I believe it is. Let's do it. We got
Chip made that up.
Stats.
Chip the keeper and stats.
His thoughts.
Chip sent me a text today, and it wasn't the not his usual longest stuff, but here's what he had to say. Well, we lost to Toluca, but we're still in it. Since we lost, we're now looking at a Friday night matchup against the Columbus Crew instead of the game we could have gotten against Houston. Not to say that Houston would be any sort of a pushover since they're 6th in the West, but I feel like hosting them would be preferable to playing at Columbus, which has the 5th highest points per game in the entire league. By the way, I think we established that we would play at Houston, but
Yes.
He did not know this. Columbus, who recently went 10 games with 9 wins. Columbus, who has Cucho with 13 league goals this season, which is 1.15 goals per 90 minutes played. Columbus, who hasn't played a game since July 27th, where they gave Aston Villa a 4-1 thumping behind a Juan Hernandez hat trick. Columbus, who has only lost 1 home game in league play this season. Columbus, who has the fewest league goals allowed per game while at home of any team in MLS. Let's not kid ourselves here. We're walking into a rough one. One bit that gives me a bit of pause is that Columbus went on that tear of 9 wins in 10 games, but their most recent league games ended with a 1-1 draw against Charlotte and a 1-2 loss against Atlanta. I guess we'll see if their luck is run out this Friday, but we're fighting up against a team with a plus 25 goal differential for the league season. Even without Cucho, their second most prolific scorer, Diego Rossi, has 9 on the year, which ties our number 1, Agata. Sporting KC is coming off their game against Toluca on Monday, giving them only a few days rest before facing Columbus. I expect there will be some tired legs, particularly in several scorers, which we had go the full 90, including Agata and Russell. Afrifa and Polito were subbed off at the 60th, with Shallowy and Tommy coming on, so we will have some rested legs. On the topic of rested legs, we also have the powerhouse, Jake Davis, coming back from Paris and getting some minutes. Having him back will seriously change the presentation of our team. Last night made it very clear that 1, Jake is back, and 2, the way he plays off the other forwards gives us a lot more attacking options. The dynamic duo of Jake Davis and Eric Tommy in the midfield can create a wealth of power shots from distance or free up some of the attackers for some more classic headed goals from Agata. Sporting is at no shortage of attacking options. To me, this game is going to come down to how well we can stop Columbus. I agree with Chip there at the end. It's going to come down to how unwell Columbus plays rather than how well we play.
Yeah, this is one of those games where there's no room for error for Sporting Kansas City. Don't make silly mental errors. Don't lose your runner. Don't give them cheap goals. Don't give away cheap balls in the midfield that turns them on the counter. They're good enough to do it on their own. Make them earn it. Yes, Columbus is probably going to get a goal or 2, at least. So can Sporting KC play smart? Can they steal a couple on the counter? Can they just play their way into a draw? We don't have to win possession per se. And yeah, try to go on the road, smash and grab a result, steal it, and I think that's the best that Sporting KC fans can hope for.
What do you think about Rosero pulling that guy down when he didn't need to? There was no reason to make that play. He was at midfield. He wasn't on a breakaway. He wasn't even like the last player in on goal. There was no reason to foul that guy.
I don't know. I think some of that was just a little bit of desperation because it was like toward the end of the game, Sporting KC felt like for a moment that maybe they were building some momentum and then a ball got turned over. And I think it was just a little bit of frustration.
Somewhat towards the end, dude. It was the 79th minute. I mean, there was still quite a bit of time left.
There's 10 minutes plus. It ended up being, I think, 5 minutes of stoppage. So
just very silly. It seemed silly to me in the moment. And the announcer's like, he knows what he's doing. I'm like, yeah, he does. There was no need for it.
Yeah, sometimes I think Rosero does make silly decisions, and you could argue that was one of them. So
yeah,
but we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting. It was a Volador-Castellanos matchup on Monday night. We'll see what happens on Friday night with Columbus, because they have some very good attackers. So, I wouldn't hate seeing a Castellanos and Rosero pairing out there, get a couple of people who are very dangerous on set pieces, and maybe that's how Sporting KC steals a goal or two.
That'd be pretty cool.
I believe that's all I have for our fans tonight. You got anything else?
That's it. Just a reminder, like I said, currently it's coming back on Friday, so we'll have a couple games to talk about then. Shit, man, they play tonight. Are you going out there?
I'm not going to be able to make it out there tonight, no, but I'll be watching.
Yeah, at 8 o'clock, so anyone listening to this, it doesn't matter. Why am I talking to you about it? So
yeah, by this point, you already know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you all so much for listening. Make sure you leave us a 5-star rating and review. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NoOtherPod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMac03. Shoot us an email, nootherpod@gmail.com. Text us on that Mint Mobile text line, 913-407-6524. And you can hit us on that KCSN hotline powered by Mint Mobile. Send us your questions and comments. And we appreciate you. Check us out, KCSN Soccer on YouTube or the KC Sports Network app. But until next time, he's Dan. I'm Jimmy. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.
Peter Vermees, host of the match.